Hi, and welcome back to The Rise. I'm so happy that you're here. This episode kicks off an entirely new season, and I hope for you an entirely new era of your life. I know it's a bold invitation, and I'm claiming it for you, for me, for this community, for everyone who is part of The Rise, because there are some things going on. There's some forces at play in this exact time and space moment that we're in. And what we're calling forth here is a rise into accelerated abundance, a rise into a greater level of your empowerment, freedom, leadership, joy, enjoyment of your life, wholeness, worthiness. There's a lot that we're going to get into in this Abundance Accelerator series. And if you want the workbook that's going to go along, it's not even a workbook, it's a my secret roadmap. If you want the Abundance Accelerator roadmap, just DM me Accelerate, send us a message, Accelerate, and we will get that to you immediately. So I'm finishing it now. Okay. So before we get into the work that we're going to do, how we're going to rise for maybe what the last few weeks and months, maybe even longer, has felt like in the area of abundance. And yes, we're talking about financial abundance that ripples out into the life abundance, the joy abundance, the health abundance, the creativity abundance. Abundance is a contagious energy. So it's great about it. And so it's going to ripple into every area of your life. So when I was 12, I did theater. I was in this sort of children's theater group that was put on really professional productions. It was awesome. I loved it. I did it from, like fourth grade to high school. And until I started doing Shakespeare in high school, but all the way up through, eighth grade. And I fell in love for the first time. And there was a boy that was in the play. He was from another school because this theater company, you could audition from many different schools in the Washington, D.C. area where I grew up. And I met this boy and I was besotted. And, you had that first love thing, right? It was just so exciting. You can hardly stay in your body. It's just the rushes of emotion and hormones and all the things that are going on. And he liked me back. And we had this little romance. And it was like mind blowing and extraordinary the way that, we all have that. It's like feels very unique, but is, kind of textbook. And it was very exciting, very thrilling. And the whole summer after the play finished, he wrote me letters, this beautiful stack of letters and love letters. He made me, music playlists, mixtapes, and it spoke onto them. Said, I love you, Sarah. And I just couldn't even believe it. It was so wonderful. And then in the fall, we all came back from summer and we were at different schools and he moved on, right? He started, liking another girl at his school. And I was no longer, the object of that attention and that love. And I was gutted. And even though I understood that I was in eighth grade and like there would probably be more people that I could, date and meet and have relationships with, I felt a deep, deep pain of rejection. This idea that I was, just easy to cast off. And I was, I felt, I don't know, like abandoned probably and definitely rejected. So moving forward, I, didn't, date anyone, like anyone for a little while, whenever I get to high school. And I start having a couple of relationships. I start dating a few people. And at one point, a really good friend, she's still my best friend, Stephanie, from growing up. And she pulled me aside. I remember her saying, why are you dating these guys? And I knew what she meant because they were a little wild and a little rough and a little all these things. And I looked at her and I said, I don't know. I don't know. I realized I didn't really even like these people. I didn't even like them, let alone, have all that yummy, delicious, oh, I love you. I didn't even like them. And it took me many years until I learned how to examine things that happened in my life and trace them back to underlying beliefs and root causes and things that we're going to do in this series around money and around abundance and around financial prosperity. It took me a while, But there was a moment when I realized, learning about the brain and learning about neuroscience, that I made a decision when this boy that I loved so much just said, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm moving on." That I made a decision that that hurt so much that I wouldn't like anyone like that again. I wouldn't fall in love again. I wouldn't open my heart like that again. So I was unconsciously, with no idea that I was doing this, living out an agreement to protect myself from that pain by dating people I didn't even like. And it was mind-boggling at the time, but it's not now. When we examine these unconscious agreements or these rooted beliefs, these protection mechanisms that we're going to examine in this season around money and abundance. Because what does my early dating life have to do with anything that we're talking about here on the Rise? Well, it taught me the power of making an unconscious agreement that is not in our best interest, that does not serve us, that does not bring us joy, that does not enrich our lives, that does not empower others, because it wasn't a gift to it wasn't a gift to anyone, like it wasn't like it was nice to those people that I was dating, right? It was messed up. And I didn't even know what I was doing or why I was doing it. So what we're going to uncover in this series first, and then remedy and explore the and empower the antidotes to, are the potentially, if you're not experiencing all the financial abundance and freedom and ease and flow and overflow and joy that you want and you deserve in your financial abundance. We're going to examine if there are some things going on below the surface that are actually keeping you, despite all your best efforts, despite what you say you want, despite what you're capable of deep down, or want to be capable of. We're going to get to the root of that. We're going to dissolve them. We're going to rise to a higher place, and we're going to create a new world. I know that that sounds really bold, but I'm a writer. So what I'm saying is we get to. We get to create a new earth, a new universe, a new reality where everyone wins, where you win, where you experience the financial abundance that you came here to receive, and then you are a vehicle and a channel and a catalyst for that abundance in others. Are we good with that? Like, that's the journey we're taking? Yeah. And remember, just send me a note saying accelerate or accelerate abundance. You can DM me on any of the social platforms at Sarah Cannell on Instagram, and we'll get you that roadmap that's going to go along with this as our free gift. Okay. So, how do we start doing this work? I want to talk about something today very specific, which I now call business PTSD. Okay. As in post traumatic stress disorder. And I have had diagnosed post traumatic stress disorder in my life multiple times for different traumas that I've experienced. So, I'm not making a joke or being light about this. I've had to go under like a lot of treatment, and that has thankfully worked really, really well for a number of traumas that I've experienced. And business PTSD is real. And what I want to do now with the remainder of this episode is reveal some of the triggers and the symptoms so that you can decide and you can use the roadmap to get a little more clear on this, and do some journaling about it and do some assessment, some self-assessment on it. Because the just like any kind of PTSD, um, it will keep you stuck. It will keep you in a trauma loop. It will keep you from being able to take risks. It will keep you from opening yourself up to the next best, the next greatest awesome experiences that life has for you. And it will absolutely will inhibit, block, impede your financial abundance if left unchecked. Okay, so that's why we're gonna kick this off right here in this first episode of this series, in taking a look at this. Okay, what are some? These are not all the symptoms. We'll be talking about more in the catalyst. So, what are some of the triggers and catalyst initiators of business PTSD? So, here are the ones that I have seen in our clients, and I'll share some of the ones that I've experienced. So, one that you want to look for is, have you put something out in the world and no one bought it? No one signed up for it. No one showed up. Well, that is, we could say, oh, I should just get over it, or I shouldn't care. Yeah, you get to care, and you don't just get over it, because it's a big freaking deal to put your heart and your soul into a program, a product, a launch, a book, a workshop, an event. And not only did you pour all of that love and heart and soul into something, that you care deeply about. That's your, like, your very soul and your purpose. You care, but um, you also, you know, open to a level of vulnerability and didn't receive immediately right then the reward, the affirmation, the great, yes, this worked out. This is, and so like me, you might have made an agreement after that time to shut down the studio, shut it down, right? You might have made an agreement like that. We're going to check. Okay. So that is a catalyst and a trigger for business PTSD. Okay. Another one is that you went through an FT. Okay. That's what I call financial trauma. It might be a capital T financial trauma. It might be a lowercase t financial trauma. So that looks like you hit a point where there just wasn't enough money coming in, that you didn't know how you were going to, keep your business open, how you're going to pay your bills, how are you going to make the next payment on your coaching or your editor for your book or whatever it was, and that can create an experience of trauma. It's a base need. The financial security is a very low on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, of things to feel a sense of safety. Should we make money so important? Maybe, maybe not, but we do, and we equate it with worth and safety. And so those are two places. The first example is like a worth blow, and the second example is a safety blow. And so I had an experience last year. I hired someone who was like, be great. And I over delegated, meaning I assumed that because of her credentials and people she knew that we knew in common and her resume and all of that, that she could really take a project and run with it. And there were some, for me, massive financial costs for things that happened in delegating that project. Massive, because it was a huge event that we were putting on, and a big six-figure investment in the event. And then we took a $100,000 hit between paying her for stuff that didn't work out, and the issues that happened in that project that, again, I own full responsibility. I chose to delegate to this person. But it was, and in a business my size and the way our cash flow went, I didn't know how I was going to pay my team. I didn't know how I was going to pay my, I'm responsible for paying a mortgage on our new house that we'd moved into. I have a child. I have a husband. His business was compromised because of this, coming out of the pandemic, and he's in the television film industry, and there was everything going on with the strikes. And I was in a state of terror. I was in a state of terror because I really didn't. I was like, do I sell my car? Do we move? Do we, like, that was the level of, and that's even a level of privilege that I recognize. Like, we had food. I wasn't worried about, like, are we going to eat today? I was very worried about, like, base level, like, shelter being okay, and so, story for another, the rise from that. I could do a whole episode on, the comeback from that, because here's the good news about whether it's something you put out that no one came to, something that you hit a financial trauma. Either it just happened because of the economy. It happened because, like me, you made a choice in something that didn't, there was a fallout. Despite your best intentions, maybe you ignored red flags, and I've done it all, right? Like, done every version, and I've had colossal, things that just immediately worked and paid off, right? So it's the full spectrum in entrepreneurship. And I want to share this with you so that that it's not, you're not like a failure, a bad person. Like, if these things have happened to you, whether, again, you put something out and it didn't work, or had a financial trauma of some kind and didn't know how you were going to recover from it or rise again from it. These are the catalysts, two of the biggies, right? There are a whole bunch of others that we will continue exploring in this series, but I want to start with these two today and just really see in person, like, have you had an experience like that? Or is it a slow, like, micro concussion, right? The third way we're going to look at is this sort of, there's this sort of series of things just like not matching, like the vision that you have isn't matching the outside, and you keep trying to do all the right things, and you're taking the actions, and you're listening to your coaches, and you're going to trainings, and you're implementing, and it's just like not matching on the outside. And it's sort of a sustained period of stress and stuff, right? So let's just look at, like, those three. Have any of those three on any level been played into your experience, whether it's in the last few months or it's been the last few years or beyond? So that's what we want to analyze today. Do any of those, either in a little sense or big sense, have any of that, happen. When those things happen, those types of catalysts and many, many more that, we'll explore, when those things happen, then you might experience symptoms such as you fantasize about just shutting it all down and saying, like, I just can't take it. If it's the micro concussion, especially, I can't take another, you know, failed launch or another, seeing no one read my book or no one comment on my social media posts, or I just can't take it. So there's a fantasy of just getting out, right? That's a symptom of business PTSD, just shutting it down. And it's the whole like, I'm going to go work at Starbucks or get a job. And then you realize, if you're like me, that you're probably not like a good candidate for any other kind of job. So then you feel like intense, like pressure and stress. So those are some of the symptoms. Another symptom is really, really like the flattening of your self-esteem. So this is where we've made a false association between our worth and our financial success, right? Our financial abundance. So we're going to be peeling that apart in this series, because those things aren't joined. They're not intrinsically linked like a DNA helix, but we in our society, we link those often. We link our safety and our worth, as I said, in this like helix. So we're going to pull that all apart, open that up, because that false association binds us. So that then there's this another symptom of business PTSD is feeling like what you're doing isn't valuable, feeling like nobody wants what you are putting out, you feeling like again a failure, having this identity of just so if we go back to my seventh grade romance, in eighth grade, when this boy just very understandably like moved on, and he's like an eighth grader, like, let's go date someone else. What did I make up about it? Okay, this is what we're gonna go next. You can go there in the roadmap. What did I make up about myself in that experience? So you make up a story. That's another symptom of business PTSD. Instead of just like, these are just the facts, I made up a story that I'm unlovable, that I'm ugly, because I thought, oh, this other girl's probably really pretty. No, I'm ugly. My glasses, I don't, I just felt awkward. So it was like, okay, I'm ugly, I'm unlovable, I'm discardable. Like he just was able, like, I was like, oh my God, I love you forever, and then he was just like, no big deal. Right. So I'm discardable, I'm unlovable, I'm ugly, I'm unattractive, I'm undesirable, I'm worthless. I mean, I really loaded it on. So no wonder it hurt so badly. If all that was true, of course it would be devastating, but it wasn't, that's not the story. That's the story I made up. And so a symptom of business PTSD is you're making up a narrative of failure, a narrative of not good enough, a narrative of no one wants what you have, a narrative of, it's always going to be like this. You're screwed. I mean, it's a pylon. It's a gremlin, which is what I call the inner critic, the pylon. Okay. So other symptoms are you stop taking risks. You just shut it, you just ratchet it into like the bare minimum. It's like, I'm gonna just do, like, I'm gonna do everything myself. I'm gonna get rid of any help that and support I have, because I can't spend the money on that. And I'm gonna do it all myself. And I'm gonna like just like shrink my world so it's like sort of more controllable. And you stop showing up, you stop doing those visibility, like maybe you show up to the people that are in your world, or if someone comes to you, so you'll show up for sort of like existing and inbound, but you won't show up to like actually take a bigger leap, put yourself out there, go live more, post more on social platforms, pitch to go speak places, network with people for potential referral partners, arrange opportunities to promote your, and read from your book, make connections. No, no way. Right? Because the story that's running, right? The other symptoms. So these are where these compounded symptoms happen. And I want to hear from you, like, what other symptoms are you experiencing? So please DM me, email the show. Like, I want to hear the way that this shows up for you. If you've had one of those three that I mentioned earlier, those three catalysts for business PTSD, or a different catalyst. I want to hear about your catalyst, and I want to hear about the symptoms, right? Because that's how we're going to heal this over the next few weeks in this series. It's really powerful stuff, because when we start, and it sort of spirals. We've all felt this, right? Sort of spiral. And another symptom is just panic. Like you can't even think of the big ideas and get the creative downloads because you're obsessing about the numbers. It's like all day I was finding myself in long periods of time after that incident where I over delegated that project and had the 6-figure financial hit. It was like consumed. I was letting it consume my attention instead of saying, okay, I'm going to make a plan. I'm going to reach out for help. I'm going to figure out what we're going to do. We did. The crazy part is we did. I paid my team the whole time, never had one delay, paid all our vendors, showed up for all our clients, ran all our programs, paid for all the stuff that is required to run our programs, all the tech and the software and the, processing and the, all the stuff. And I was able to pay for my house and make all the payments on time. And, my family, we continued, we ate, we drove places, we did, and then we rose. But to get the innovative ideas to help rise, to help create your comeback from your business PTSD, when we're in an obsession with the problem, the gap, not the gain, when we're obsessed with like, oh, I'm so screwed, it's really, really hard to get the creative downloads that are going to launch us because it's annoying to hear when you're in it, but every one of these setbacks is a setup for the comeback, every single one of them. And so I want to open up the space in this series together to explore that. Today's work is, what is business PTSD? Have you experienced PTSD of some form? And what are the symptoms that are showing up? Because here's where I want us to go before we move into the next episode in the series. I want to talk about the 3 A's of change. The 3 A's of change. So 1A of change is the first A of change. These have to go in order, is awareness. Like I have to even be aware that I'm in a flinching, contracted, shut down, negative story, pressure, fear-based, beating myself down even further, kicking myself while I'm down, panic, uh, procrastinating and not showing up to things that would actually help me be more visible and move forward in my abundance, create and put more of my big magic out in the world. I have to first be aware that I'm doing that instead of kind of just go, oh, I'm busy, or oh, other things keep getting in the way, or just like whatever smoke screen I'm running that I'm making it about something else instead of the fact that I'm in business PTSD. And this was the trigger that's still activated and scaring the heck out of me. And now these are the symptoms. Awareness. Okay. So our goal here is to get to all 3 A's today, right? Awareness. Now, my invitation to you is, can you in this moment take a breath with me and accept that this is what it feels like right now? That you've had some catalysts for business PTSD, if you have, and that there are some symptoms that are showing up for you, right? Like if we had a physical thing going on, and we aren't aware that, oh, my body's out of balance or this hurts, and then we accept like, yeah, I better do something about it because this isn't actually healthy. This isn't in balance. This is out of whack. I got to accept that. And then I can go on to the 3rd A of change, which is new action. Okay. What is a new action? If it's a physical thing, my new action, even if I'm scared, it might be to go see a doctor, a functional medicine practitioner, an acupuncturist. It might be to go get this checked out so that I can heal it. I can change it. We can't change something we don't acknowledge, that we don't see. And so whether you've been acutely aware that this is all going on, or maybe you're able to see some things from a new perspective today, either way, let's all get to that 3rd A of new action. So the new action I want to offer you today is about, it's just going to be using the imagination and your brain to start opening up to that new earth that we're creating in this series, in this Abundance Accelerator series. What is the new earth that you are going to create, the new universe that you're going to create, where you have had the comeback, you are activated in your abundance, you are, no matter what's happened up until now, available for everything to be different. You are smashing the next glass ceiling, even if you've never smashed one before and the finances have never worked up until now. Today's a new beginning. And with the power of this community, with the power of your abundance Accelerator roadmap, with the power of this show, with the power of us coming together with an intention to change the world, starting with our own in the area of financial abundance. With that, with all of that, that's all that's needed and more for you to have a completely different experience. I believe that it's my commitment to you. It's what I've activated in this series for all of us together. And so the new action I'm going to give you comes from, so Kelly Roach is one of my mentors. She's a business strategist, adore her. And she was leading a training a number of months ago. And she equates a lot of coaching to entrepreneurs with training elite athletes, because she was a professional athlete, and she thinks there's a lot of, and I agree with her completely, there's a lot of similarities between how we would train athletically. And this is going to lead us to our new action. How we would train athletically and how we would train in entrepreneurship. And she said, are you playing injured? I went, oh, right. Am I playing, am I in my business playing injured? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about here. She wasn't talking about business PTSD and looking at symptoms. She was speaking about something else. But what I got, my aha was, I'm playing injured. I'm flinchy from those experiences with team and with finances. And I am playing injured, meaning, if someone plays injured in a sport, an athletic thing, they're holding back. They are going slower. They're cautious. They're not just going all out, going all in. And then the energy can actually injure you further. And that's what I loved about having that aha when Kelly said, are you playing injured? And I was. And so that was my awareness moment. Then I got to accept, yeah, oh, I get it. You went through some scary stuff. It's understandable that you're being cautious going back, but you could actually risk higher injury playing injured. And so then I got new action to say, what can I do to heal these experiences, which was what we're going to do in this series. How do I get to play well and rehabilitate and recover so that I'm playing full out, that I'm playing all in better than before, right? Better than before. That's what your abundance gets to be better. If it's never been good, it gets to be great. And if it's been good at certain times and hasn't been now, get ready. Like, let's go. All right. So the new action I'm going to give you, your homework between this episode and next episode, is to DM me or message me in whatever form and way you want, Abundance Accelerator, so that we can get you the roadmaps. You can do this work along with the series and to do this exercise. So you just take some time with a journal. If you like to type it, if you like to handwrite it, if you like to just visualize and meditate on it, any version of that is perfect. And what I'm inviting you to do is to close your eyes at the beginning of it and imagine if you were fully healed from your PTSD, your business PTSD, if you were recovered from your playing injured, if you were back, if you were in your comeback instead of the setback, what would you be doing? What would it look like? How would you know? What would be happening? What would let you know? It's a meta question based in neuroscience. What would let me know I'm in the comeback, the next level, smash the glass ceiling, the rise, and what would be happening? And just journal or meditate on for a few minutes, what would it look like? So for me, in that example, it was like, I would hire again, even though it was like, oh God. And I would do it differently, taking all the learnings about how to hire differently and better and the deeper questions to ask, even when something looks great, and all the things I used to know to check. And I would have a check system for delegation when there's big financial components, that in a deeper way than I had before. And we've now implemented both those things. We've hired and we have a whole different way we're doing our finances. And I had the meeting with our financial team this week, and it was like a party. They're like, oh my God, look at where you were last year and where you are now. Wow, wow, wow. What a turnaround. What a comeback. And and that's in one of the worst years economically. That happened in like 2023 to first quarter 2024. And so that shows that we don't have to be dependent on what's happening outside. It's the inner rise will give way to the outer rise. All right. So you're going to visualize and journal about, what does it look like for you? For me, it was like, I'm going to hire people, even though I'm scared. I'm going to create a new system around, deeper financial checks and balances, for bigger things in the business in a new way. I'm going to find a way to create profitability where I used to say, oh, this is probably good. Like, nope. Right from the beginning, total transformation of the way we do our finances in the company. All right. What does yours look like? And then envision that you're there, that it's happening, and see if you can generate, this is your extra credit, your super size me. What does it feel like when you're on the other side? When you've had your rise into that next level of glorious financial abundance? Does it feel like relief? Does it feel like gratitude and joy? Does it feel like fun? Does it feel tingly? What does it feel like? And then see if you generate that feeling is going to be a magnet to accelerate this being your new reality. I'm so excited to be doing this work with you. I'm so honored that you're taking the journey of this abundance rise right now with us. And I'll see you on the next one.